To start off, here's a brief introduction to mosque design. In Islamic arts and architecture, symbolisms and metaphors are often used to interpret the elements and values of the Islamic beliefs. For instance, the use of repeating themes, the rare depiction of human and animal forms in decorative art, ornaments and calligraphy featuring quotations from the Quran, and also the application of large and impressive forms. In terms of typology, there are formal typology and functional typology, where formal typology consists of the types of spatial organization that can be found in a mosque, whereas functional typology consists of the type of structures that can be found in Islamic architecture.
Okay, now I'm gonna talk about Al-Masjid An-Nabawi. Al-Masjid An-Nabawi, known in English as the Prophet's Mosque, is a mosque built by Islamic Prophet Muhammad in the city of Medina in the Al-Madinah province of Saudi Arabia. It was the second mosque built by Muhammad in Medina after Quba Mosque and is the second largest mosque and the second holiest site in Islam, both titles ranking after the Masjidil Al-Haram in Mecca. The first timeline is under Muhammad and the Rashidun. The mosque was built by Muhammad in 622 AD after his arrival in Medina. The roof, which was supported by palm trunks, was made by beaten clay and palm leaves. It was at a height of 3.6 meters. The three doors of the mosque were the Gate of Mercy at the south, Gate of Gabriel to the west, and Gate of Women to the east. Second one is under subsequent Islamic regimes. In 707, the Umayyad Caliph Al-Walid renovated the mosque. It took 3 years for the work to be completed. Raw materials were procured from the Byzantine Empire. For the first time, porticos were built in the mosque, connecting the northern part of the structure to the sanctuary. Minarets were also built for the first time as Al-Walid constructed 4 minarets around it. Third one is Ottoman period. Sultan Sulaiman the Magnificent rebuilt the east and west walls of the mosque and added the northern eastern minaret known as Sulaimani. Sultan Sulaiman the Magnificent wrote the names of the Ottoman sultans from Osman Ghazi to himself and received the Gate of Mercy or the West Gate. The fourth one is Saudi insurgency. When Saud bin Abdul Aziz took Medina in 1805, his followers, the Wahhabis, demolished nearly every tomb and dome in Medina in order to prevent their veneration, except the Green Dome. Muhammad's tomb was stripped of its gold and jewel ornaments, but the dome was preserved either because of an unsuccessful attempt to demolish its complex and hardened structure, or because some time ago Ibn Abdul al-Wahhab, founder of the Wahhabi, wrote that he did not wish to see the dome destroyed. Last one is Saudi rule and modern history. The Saudi takeover is characterized by events similar to those took place in 1805 when the Prince Muhammad ibn Abdul Aziz retook the city on 5th December 1935. After the foundation of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 1932, the mosque underwent several major modifications. The mosque have 4 architecture styles. The first one is Islamic architecture, contemporary architecture, classical architecture, and Ottoman architecture. The first architecture in the mosque is Green Dome. It was constructed in 1817 during the reign of the Ottoman Sultan Mahmud II and painted green in 1837. The one is Mihrab. There are 2 mihrabs and niches indicating the Qibla in the mosque. One was built by Muhammad and another was built by the 3rd Rashidun Caliph Uthman. The one built by later was larger than of Muhammad's and as of a functional mihrab, whereas Muhammad mihrab is a commemorative mihrab. The third one is Raudah Ash-Sharifah. The Raudah Ash-Sharifah is an area between the minbar and burial chamber of Muhammad. It is regarded as one of the Riyadh al-Jannah. A green carpet was used to distinguish the area from the red carpet used in the rest of the mosque, though it is now also green. The fourth one is Mimbar. The original minbar used by Muhammad was a block of dead palm wood. This was replaced by him with a tamarisk swan. In 1590, it was replaced by the Ottoman Sultan Murad III with a marble minbar, while Qaitbay minbar was moved to the Quba Mosque. The last one is minarets. The first minarets of 36 feet high were constructed by Umar. In 1307, the minaret titled Bab al-Salam was added by Muhammad ibn Qalawun, which was renovated by Muhammad IV. After the renovation of project of 1994, there were 10 minarets which is 104 meters high. The minaret's upper, bottom and middle portion are cylindrical, octagonal and square-shaped respectively.
The Mosque of Cordoba guided tour in detail. A deeper tour to a unique monument. A World Heritage Site. Enjoy an exciting experience where you know all the constructive areas of the building. The first mosque and its further expansions. The Visigothic Basilica. The Mihrab. The Royal Chapel. The Cathedral Transept. Enjoy a unique experience with our historians. Art in Cordoba. Quality guaranteed.
Cordoba is one of the oldest structures in the city of Cordoba that traces back to the period when Muslims ruled the city toward the late 8th century. During this period, the structure was used as a mosque, but after the capture of Cordoba by the Christian force in 1236, it was converted into a cathedral also known as the Cathedral of Our Lady of Assumption. For the architecture and design, the initial plan was for a square-shaped prayer hall that was covered as well as an exterior patio. It assemblage of more than 500 columns from Visigoth and Roman bronze connect at the ceiling with two tiers of arch. The huge prayer hall's column, which originally had a horseshoe-shaped bottom and a semi-round top, subsequently produced an airy atmosphere and a feeling of endless forest. Four different types of timelines that are crucial for the Cordoba Mosque. The Syrian Muslim inhabitants began to demand a proper place of worship in 785, and Abdurrahman I gave the order to construct the mosque in the 8th century. The Qibla wall and the first building are formed together. Later on, Rahman II oversaw the first extension, which lengthened the mosque by 24 meters and divided the prayer hall into 8 sections. The mosque courtyard was enlarged during the second enlargement, and a new minaret was built. This effort resulted in the construction of the first minaret in the west, which served as a model for Al-Muhad Moorish minaret and steeple. The last substantial addition to the Cordoba Mosque at the turn of the century was finished by X al-Manzur during the year 991 and 994. The remodeling of the mosque also resulted in the locating of Mihrab Qidase. There have 6 interesting architectural elements in the Mosque of Cordoba. The first one was minaret built by Abdurrahman III in the mid-10th century, which was later become a bell tower with a solid square shaft and salina style opening on all 4 sides. The second one was Mihrab, the half-octagonal structure with a scalloped shell dome that rises up from a marble pit, and the wall panels are decorated with trefoil blind arch and stylish plant motifs. The dome also was very interesting because it is built of crisscrossing ribs that create point arch are lavishly covered with gold mosaic in a radial pattern. At the exterior of the Mosque of Cordoba, they have Sun and Sabil, which is a courtyard of the orange trees that had fountain or water basins to help Muslims perform ritual ablution before prayers. Another interesting architectural element of Mosque of Cordoba, it has unique design of horseshoe arch and semicircular arch that resembling the forest of columns. It was reused from early Roman and Visigoth buildings. The less interesting element of Mosque of Cordoba It has a decoration at the top of mihrab that have a calligraphic quotation from the Quran and the date of the building dedication and the name of the patron.
The infamous Hagia Sophia Mosque was initially built as a basilica during the Byzantine era under the rule of the Byzantine Emperor Constantius. The Byzantine Empire was terminated, however, when the Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II conquered Constantinople, which in turn a few significant changes were made to the Hagia Sophia Mosque. The minaret, mihrab, and mimbar were some of the few changes that were made by the Ottoman architect Mimar Sinan during the reign of the Ottoman Empire.
Masjid Jame. Masjid Jame is located in the capital city of Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. It is known to be one of the oldest mosques in Malaysia. The word Jame comes from the Arabic word Jame', which describes a place where people congregate to worship. The mosque was designed by the English architect Arthur Benson Humpback. Masjid Jame was built in the year 1909. The architecture style prominent in Masjid Jame include Islamic architecture, Mughal architecture, Moorish architecture, and Indo-Saracenic architecture. In the year 1895, before Masjid Jame was built, the land was used as a Muslim cemetery. The site was surrounded by a village known as Kampung Rawa. Meanwhile, Sultan Abdul Samad building already existed during that time. In 1910, the steps were imagined to be a place of human activity and a landing spot for sampans. And in the year 2019, river as the main transportation media brings to the establishment of Masjid Jame, where development and linkage of public transportation brings to the development of the surrounding. The architecture elements consist of onion-shaped dome, Moorish minaret, pinnacles, narrow spires, the Islamic pattern fountain, and the horseshoe arches.
The National Mosque was built in 1965 to celebrate the independence of Malaysia. It is one of the largest mosques in Southeast Asia, which can accommodate up to 15,000 people. It was heavily influenced by the early modernism in Malaysian architecture, a bold initiative by architects Hisham Al-Bakri, Baharuddin Abu Qasim, and British architect H. Ivor Ashley. It took about 3 years for designing, taking inspiration for the mosque in India, Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Spain. For architectural elements like line, shape, color, and texture do not exist in isolation on a building. They are combined to make formal composition in an architectural design, creating patterns, rhythm, symmetry, balance, contrast, proportion, theme, and unity. It is important that the variety of elements used for a building blend together well so that the design appears unified. For example, the design of the column and ceiling create this sleek and stylish look to the whole interior of the mosque. It has emphasis on geometrical shapes, linear elements, and rectangle forms. Other than that, the carvings were carved beautiful with different patterns and so many details. This adds on to the cultural and local context, enhancing the traditional concept but designed in a modern way. This helps cool the space and avoid users feeling stuffed or claustrophobic.
In conclusion, a high sense of appreciation for the mosque as part of the Islamic art and architecture is cultivated through the acknowledgement of the history, development, and transformation of the local as well as international mosque designs. Thus, it is hoped that as part of the modern society, we are able to make the most of and benefit from the mosque and Islamic art and architecture in general in an effort to preserve not only its condition but the values it holds for the current and future generations to come.